Many people envision the end of the world as an asteroid strike that wiped out the dinosaurs, or a nuclear war deploying mankind's entire arsenal. But what if none of this is even close to what could turn the planet into a fiery inferno? Hello, and welcome to Z. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. To transform our beautiful blue planet into hell, we need to examine its interior. At a depth of about 70 kilometers, a part of the Earth begins known as the mantle. Extending down to 2,890 kilometers, this layer reaches the Earth's core and comprises approximately 80% of our planet's total volume. The deeper it gets, the hotter the mantle becomes, from 200 degrees Celsius at the Earth's crust to 4,000 degrees at the core. These are quadrillion tons of hot, molten circulating rock and minerals called magma. Lithospheric plates move due to heat movement in magma from the core to the Earth's crust. Their movement creates mountains and depressions and causes earthquakes. In some places called magma plumes, hot magma moves to the Earth's surface in relatively small streams or jets, accumulating in the crust. If it does not find an easy way to surface, it forms magma chambers and calderas, which become the foundation for volcanoes and supervolcanoes. So, what would happen if millions of tons of hot, molten magma reached the Earth's surface? Let's examine two very famous volcanic eruptions. We'll focus on the eruption of the Krakatoa volcano in 1883 and Tambora in 1815. Both volcanoes are located in Indonesia, but their eruptions had global consequences. To gauge the strength or danger of an eruption, volcanologists use the VI scale, the scale of volcanic activity. It's measured by the volume of eruption products thrown onto the surface, known as tephra, and is counted in cubic meters. The eruption of Krakatoa, which claimed about 36,000 lives and caused a 46-meter tsunami as well as a global cooling of 0.4 degrees Celsius, is rated at 6 points on the VI scale, with tephra release up to 10 cubic kilometers. This eruption is equivalent to about 1,000 nuclear bombs, each kiloton-sized, detonated simultaneously. The eruption of Tambora reached 7 on the volcanic activity scale, meaning the volume of ejected tephra was up to 100 cubic kilometers. It claimed 76,000 lives and caused an even greater cooling of the Earth's surface by 5 degrees Celsius in some areas. This led to a year without summer, where snow fell even in June in Canada and caused hunger in Europe and Asia due to crop failure, acid rain, and dry fog in the northwestern United States. And this is only part of the known consequences. However, we're still far from the complete destruction of humanity. We would need volcanic supereruptions reaching 8 points. Supereruptions are catastrophically gigantic discharges of magma, rocks, ash, and aerosols into the atmosphere. Supereruptions, with volumes of thousands of cubic kilometers, occur very rarely, and volcanoes and caldera systems that produce them are colloquially called supervolcanoes. The most famous supervolcano is in North America, in the state of Wyoming, at Yellowstone National Park. The Yellowstone caldera, slowly moving northeastward following the lithospheric plate, has erupted 3 times over the past 2.1 million years. Each of these supereruptions led to global climate change. Our entire nuclear arsenal does not come close to comparing with such a destructive force of Earth's nature. In terms of energy and TNT equivalent, about 630,000 years BC, one of these eruptions formed a caldera 70 kilometers in diameter. The volume of ejected tephra reached about 2,500 square kilometers, resulting in abundant ashfall and the formation of Huckleberry Ridge tuff, a layer of volcanic material found across almost the entire western United States. For comparison, if we compact all this volume of hot ash, magma, and volcanic rocks into a cube, we get a structure 13 kilometers high, nearly 1.5 times taller than Everest. If we hypothetically assume Yellowstone has another supereruption with a volume of ash and solid rocks of 330 cubic kilometers, will this be humanity's end? This time, we're talking about a cube as high as Mount Kilimanjaro. Using a tephra sediment map, we see that ash would spread over almost the entire continental United States and parts of Canada. Everything in the states adjacent to Yellowstone would likely be completely destroyed in the first hours of the eruption. In Yellowstone National Park, about 64 kilometers in diameter, lava, magma, and other eruption products would reach a meter in height. A super eruption of this magnitude would cause an almost complete collapse of North American agriculture. An ash cloud would block sunlight from reaching farmlands in the central and eastern United States. Acid rain and tephra would destroy crops, pollute water sources, and kill livestock. Besides ash fall, the new super eruption would produce numerous volcanic bombs, which are magma ejected from the volcano at great speed. These bombs would destroy roads, houses, and communications up to 150 kilometers from Yellowstone. The number of deaths and global consequences are hard to calculate. Such a catastrophe would compare to an asteroid impact several kilometers wide. It's also likely that for several years, North America would experience a volcanic winter, destabilizing the global climate. Scientists believe that sudden temperature changes would lead to anomalous natural phenomena. Hurricanes, tornadoes, and thermal domes would appear, damaging farming not only in the United States but globally. Crop failures, hunger, droughts, and cold snaps would become the norm for several years. It's important to note that despite Yellowstone's fluctuating seismic activity, scientists have no fears. This supervolcano is unlikely to erupt at super eruption capacity, at least for the next thousands of years. In fact, a super eruption almost destroyed humanity about 74,000 years BC. The super eruption of 2,880 cubic kilometers, 8 times larger than the hypothetical Yellowstone eruption, according to scientists Michael Rampino and Stephen Self, could have led humanity to extinction. This refers to the Toba volcano eruption on Sumatra, Indonesia. In a 1992 article, they suggested this super eruption caused a volcanic winter and accelerated glaciation. This is linked to a genetic bottleneck in human history. Studies indicate that from about 100,000 to 50,000 years BC, human civilization shrank to about 10,000 individuals. This is evidenced by the low genetic diversity of our ancestors. According to Rampino and Self, it was long believed the Toba eruption caused a 6-year volcanic winter in Africa and Europe, but recent research suggests otherwise. In 2018, a study of the tuff and traces of this super eruption was published, surprisingly showing evidence that human activity continued and even increased. Tools found on the southeast coast of Africa, in layers before and after the eruption, included small sharpened stones and more complex arrowheads and spearheads. Excavations around Lake Malawi, also in Africa, show no evidence of a catastrophic volcanic winter from the super eruption. The impact of ash and aerosols was likely overestimated and did not lead to a 6-year winter or near extinction of humanity. But what if super eruptions are only part of an even more catastrophic event, which likely led to the extinction of the dinosaurs along with the asteroid? We now arrive at an event truly capable of creating a global hell: volcanic floods. A volcanic flood does not fit into the scale of volcanic activity, as emissions of ash, magma, and rocks are measured in millions of cubic kilometers. Compared to our cube analogy, its height would reach space, or 125 kilometers. This volume of magma and ash spreads over millions of square kilometers, forming a giant layer hundreds of meters high. This process creates huge plains, called traps, with a characteristic staircase-like relief. Even if scientists cannot pinpoint the exact cause of the traps, which cover vast areas in Siberia and India, there's no doubt it's a large-scale, catastrophic process. It is also not surprising that the age of the traps formation coincides with the largest mass extinctions, one of which wiped out 95% of species. Unlike super eruptions and asteroid impacts, the impact of a volcanic flood can last hundreds of thousands of years. They occur when a plume or long torch of magma reaches the Earth's crust. Compared to Yellowstone's caldera at a depth of 8,000 meters, volcanic floods begin with powerful earthquakes and surface rises of several hundred meters. Cracks and ruptures in the uplifted earth are followed by super eruptions, ejecting tephra and lava in pillars averaging 50 kilometers in height. Magma slowly melts through the Earth's crust, spreading over areas the size of entire countries. The Siberian traps, formed about 640,000 years ago from a volcanic flood, cover an area as large as continental Europe with tephra and magma hundreds of meters high. This likely led to the Permian-Triassic extinction 250 million years BC. The Deccan Traps formation caused the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction 66 million years ago, leading to the dinosaurs' demise. The impact of volcanic floods on the climate is thousands of times greater than super eruptions or nuclear war. After most of the magma and rock from the plume reach the surface and spread, the remaining magma seeks another path, spreading horizontally to reach coal deposits and other fossils. This results in massive carbon dioxide emissions, raising Earth's temperature by an average of 5 degrees. This seemingly small increase transforms most of Earth's surface into a desert for hundreds of thousands of years. Oceans turn into toxic, hot, acidic liquids due to the abundance of carbon dioxide and methane deposits activation at the bottom. But as evidenced by our existence, the planet can endure such disasters and more than once. Scientists are confident that for the next hundreds and thousands of years, humanity is unlikely to face such cataclysms. What about you? Would you like to witness similar phenomena? We will inform you if the plans of the volcanoes change and such an opportunity arises in the world. So, stay tuned, and thanks for watching.